Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Sunday, May the 15th. The year's 2022. Let's talk trading, weekly, open, and gap. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. So we'll take a look at the weekly chart. And if you remember, from Friday, there was a whole bunch of gaps hadn't filled. But today, it's quote unquote back to normal. We filled the gap. We're right around the weekly open, 2.6 pips above it, 5 off the low, and 59 off the high. Going to take a quick look at the monthly. 338 below the monthly open, 400 off the monthly high, and 82 off of the monthly low. So we're halfway through the month of May. And let's see, price peaks in very early May and is bearish till mid-May. A bottom typically forms in mid-May. Well, we're in mid-May, and we had a nice bottom last week, so let's just see what happens. We're putting in the opening range for the week right now. You can see we're below the opening range of the month by 236 pips. For the year, we're 82 off the yearly low, which is the same as the monthly low. We're 129 below the yearly open. I'm sorry, we're 1,289 pips below the yearly open. What was I thinking? Or what was I reading? Inside bar, lots of inside bar action on the daily. You can see we even touched the inside bar range from 4 days ago, and then price got rejected out of it. But inside bar traders, this looks like it's going to be your day for sure. 64 pips range at the moment, but we've got, it looks like about 9 or 10 pairs, 9 pairs over 100 so far. And it's funny because some of these pairs are just moving. It's almost like no rhyme or reason. But some of these pairs are really ranging nicely. Okay, looking at the buy zone, you can see from the open, it hit the buy zone, took off, and now it's pulled all the way back down. So it looks like we have enough range to trade the rat. Green rats, get ready. Be careful at this level because you're right around that daily open. Okay, pivot near or price near R1, bias is short. That's paid off once. Price near the pivot, bias is long. We haven't hit the pivot yet. We're today. We're 23 pips above it. So that's going to be interesting. It looks like we took out a missed pivot already today, but we've added one in. So we'll have to see how that plays out. That should be interesting. A lot of missed pivots so far this year. For the week, we took out the weekly pivot. We still have last week's, 3 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, 11 weeks ago to take out. For the month, we've got 1, 2, 3 missed pivots in a row out of the last, 250 months, 3 consecutive misses, 9 times. 4, 2 times. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next month if it starts taking out the pivots or not. in and out of that upper wick zone to the north, and now to the south. Looks like we want to come back into that upper wick zone. Which we're right now at the 2240. And you know, I like to trade in the 40s. That's the launch pad. Usually launches to 60 or better. And it's already done that twice today. And the range so far 64 pips, nothing to write home about. We haven't broken the previous week's high or low. We've had some nice, couple hours ago, there was some nice range on the H1. Enough to trade the wall mall method, even though this isn't the proper time of day to trade the wall mall method. And that's one thing that I don't think many traders take into account. Some people talk about it, but you really have to match your method to the pair, or find a pair that works with your method. And then you need to find the time of day that works best. It's kind of like fishing. I know I've used this analogy before. You need to go fishing where the fish are and when they're feeding. So you need to go find where the traders are trading and when they're trading. So during the Asian session, usually the Asian pairs are the ones getting traded. I mean, it's one of those, it seems like common sense, but a lot of people forget. They'll be trading pairs that don't have a lot of volatility at those times of day, and they wonder why they're not successful. Then again, you can trade a method like the higher low, lower high, and you can trade that, you know, around the clock. As you can see here, we had a 3-ball at the bottom. We had a trigger, about 10 minutes ago or so, 15 minutes ago. It triggered long, good for 4.4 pips. Takes you 15 minutes or so to get it. Now 5 pips. 1 ball just turned into a 2-ball. And you have to decide, do you want to take your 4 or 5 pips now or ride it out? And see, this is where it gets tricky. I think Walmart and I kind of talked about it. And I know there's a trader out there that's been asking about, you know, inquiring, well, if you only take 2 or 3 pips and you lose a 10, you know, you got to make all that up. But the quick answer is, well, don't lose the 10. Maybe you only lose 3 or 4. Because if price is going against you and you're reading what price is doing, it might be time to exit that trade. You know, for example, right here, we're making higher lows, we're making higher highs, we're 5 pips to the good, price is above the previous candle's high, it's above the current candle's midpoint, the previous candle's midpoint. There's almost no reason to exit the trade. Then again, and I think we even saw it in a video last week, you know, while we're talking about exiting trades, it flashed the other way, something like 5 or 10 pips. You know, that can happen. That's part of the risk. It's something you have to be aware of. But barring unforeseen circumstances, there's no real reason to exit the trade. You can say, well, you're running into some quote unquote support that might now act like resistance. Price isn't moving. You know, when it stalls, it falls type of analysis. So it just depends on if you're going to be happy with the 5 pips or not. We've got a new candle just opened up. And so we just sit and we wait. It actually looks like it gapped up, so for some reason they want to take it. And if it can clear this 42, it's pretty much got clear sailing up to 46. So we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, these are the types of things that you might want to make notes on. And say, okay, when I'm looking at the chart, maybe first you check the lows and the highs. And then maybe you look left. Is there any resistance here? Is there a return bar that may or may not need to get filled? I'm looking here. This almost looks like a return bar. In fact, I ran an analysis, and I think it's 8 pips, if I remember correctly, on the pound dollar on M5 and M1. That's looks like that's where the return bars, anything bigger than 8 or larger. If you get one of those bars, and price usually wants to return to that level. So you can see here we just pulled back about 2 pips off of that 2 ball. We just broke that high. Now the question is, will it flash back up or not? There's 6 pips to the good. So do you wait? You can move your stop up to make sure you get the 5. You can wait till this candle ends, which is what we'll do. We'll just wait and see what happens here. If it closes above the high, we should be good to go. If it closes somewhere in the wick zone, or if this candle closes bearish, might be time to exit the trade. Once again, just depends on how you want to manage it. You might say, well, you know what? So long as it stays above the midpoint of this candle, I'm going to stick. I don't have the mid dots on this chart, but you can almost eyeball it. I'm not sure if I've got mid dots on another one. Nope, I don't. And there's always, if you take a look, you can see where is price in relation to these other lines. Friday's close is right here, and that's right where we're at. Got about a minute and a half left, and as you can see, price is pushing down. We've got a red M1, and it's 5 pips below now, or 0.5 points, now 7 points below. It's open. I wrote this indicator so you can know in pips or points. If it's 10 or less, it goes down to points. If it's above 10, it just shows pips, to see just how far that candle has moved, or price has moved away from the open. So we'll just let this candle close, and then I will wrap up this video. So I just saw it turn bearish for a second there. Let's see what happens. Yeah, this is where your psychology is going to mess with you. If you take 5 and it goes up, will you be upset? If you don't take 5 and it goes down, will you be upset? So, fellow traders, I hope you had a fun and safe weekend. I wish you a profitable trading week. And remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks.